I always get nervous when I start, but once it's done, it's done. So here we go.
You're so brave.
Thank you, Barbie. Wait, Sophia. Can you do a fit check real quick? Because your hair covers it.
Oh. This is my dress. I almost wore my the dress that I wore for my sister's wedding reception because it had like it was red, but it had like kind of like the sleeves that Scarlett wore. But then I was like, but like her dress is green, so I was like, I'll just wear this.
I like how we didn't even coordinate. Like we just naturally chose like different color schemes. Like you chose a green dress, Rebecca chose like the black one. I got blue. Look at that. Look at us. Who'd have thought? Not me.
Yeah, I know. We were supposed to dress up like a murder mystery dinner or kind of thing, but then I was like, I want to dress as like one of the cast. So I was like, I'll do Miss Scarlet.
It's cool. It's cool. Quite cool.
Quite cool. Your dress is really nice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I wear this
You're
to the
welcome.
club.
Do you actually?
Yeah, I wore this for my 26th birthday. Yes. Well, no, 25th. Wore this for my 25th birthday when I went to Vegas.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Rebecca, are you wearing like is it like wool or something? Is it like a thick fabric or something?
Oh my god, I hate this top. No, it's okay. But the only thing is, it's like if I shrug, the whole thing just like goes up, and it's like I could just like fold it and do that. But it's like an off the shoulder thing, and it's just a really long top. So I've got my pajamas on underneath.
So you still wear pajamas?
I'm actually wearing pajama pants too.
Oh my god, yay!
All right.
Yeah, literally, like this t-shirt, like.
I'm wearing like the actual.
Then,
Oh wow, you committed.
you actually were dedicated.
I
I'm
was
surprised
gonna
you
wear
did
my
that.
shoes too. I was gonna wear my shoes too, but I was like, nah, this is a little going the extra mile right here. Cause like this, I wear like the vest.
But it's
right
like
here,
anytime I film, because I know no one's seeing my pants, I just wear pajamas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Top half nice, bottom half cozy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jason Ramirez, and welcome to another episode of the Hit List Podcast, a podcast where me and the guests cross out films from our watch list and discuss them. Today, we have a very special episode because I don't have not one, but two guests for the first time ever, and they both have been here before. They're both film reaction YouTubers. They both wear glasses, and they've been on the show to discuss quite a number of films. We have here today Sophia, Phan, and Rebecca Rose. Welcome, Sophia and Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here today.
Whee!
So we're going to talk about... Were you guys afraid to talk?
I was waiting for someone to talk first so we didn't like overlap, you know?
Yeah, me too. That's what I was waiting for.
All right. We're going to leave that in.
Yeah.
All right, Sophia, what's up? How you doing?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rebecca across the pond.
Hi. Yeah, across the pond, through an ocean. There's some rain.
All right, I think another guest wants to come in right now. Hold on.
Your dog?
Yeah. Come in.
Yeah, I feel like we're so used to just working where it's just one person. So when there's like three, I'm like, when do I start talking?
That's so true. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Has a little sweater.
His name's Pirulin.
Oh.
Does anyone want to clue us in as to like why we're dressed like this? Why we're dressed?
Haha. You didn't even mean for that, did you? Or did
I
you?
literally did it. I did it.
Oh wow.
That was good.
That was good,
Yeah, that
right?
was good.
Yeah. I'm a natural.
that was
I'm a
good.
natural. What can I say?
Yeah, you are.
Sophia, do you want to clue us in?
Oh, we are going to be talking about the movie Clue.
Hey. So, before we get started into that, I do have one icebreaker question for you guys. Do you ever fear that unregulated capitalism causes democratic institutions to deteriorate into oligopoly imperialism, exasperating support of counter-revolutionary wars and various forms of economic and cultural exploitation?
Okay, you spoke too fast. My
Yes.
brain could not process. But
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And a more serious icebreaker. Let me see. What's an icebreaker I've already told you guys? I've already said. What's something about yourself?
Why would you reuse one?
I don't. If it works, it works. If it works.
Yeah, I say go for it. I don't have many thoughts. I'll go for what I already know.
What's something about you that people will be surprised to know?
Ah, this one again.
Yeah, last time I had to really think.
I had nothing to say last time.
Right. Okay. How about this? What are the last 4 movies you watched?
I have to check my letterbox.
Oh, let me get the letterboxed up.
Yeah, same here. And let me see.
Yeah, literally all of us doing the exact same thing.
The last movie I watched was Clue.
Me too.
What about the 3 before that?
I watched the new Mean Girls in theater.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Self-Reliance.
I watched
on
Saltburn,
Hulu.
Brother Bear, and Over the Hedge.
And then I watched The Holdovers.
Okay. I watched School of Rock, How to Train Your Dragon, and In the Heights. And Clue, of course.
Wow, solid.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, let's just get right to it then. We're going to be talking about Clue. Clue is a 1985 American black comedy mystery film based on the board game of the same name. Directed by Jonathan Lynn, who co-wrote the script with John Landis and produced by Deborah Hill. It stars the ensemble cast of Eileen Brennan, Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Michael McKean, Martin Mull, Leslie Ann Warren, and Colleen Camp. So this film was on Sophia's list. Sophia, why was this film on your list?
I don't know. I think I just came across it and I was like, okay, Tim Curry. And then I added it.
That's it?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I added it on my watch list so long ago. It's kind of hard to recall why I put it on there. I don't know. Plus, I always heard about Clue as a movie. Like, you know how it's like a meme, like for murder mysteries? They're like, oh, the butler did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, maybe that's where it comes from.
It was a cliche even before this movie. That's why one of the endings didn't make it into the movie, where it was Wadsworth who did all of it. But Rebecca, did you ever hear about this movie before I mentioned it to you for this episode?
No, I'm joking. Yeah, no, I didn't hear about it before. You convinced me when you said Tim Curry's in it. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. At first, I was like, what is this? And then Tim Curry.
Gotcha.
That's fine.
Yeah, I've seen this movie so many times. I watched it when I was in middle school because back then I was really into mystery movies, and I saw this was there on demand, Comcast on demand, and it was for free. And I saw that Christopher Lloyd was in it. And I knew Christopher Lloyd because, Back to the Future, and I love that movie. And also, when I first started watching it, I saw Tim Curry is in it, but I didn't know him as Tim Curry. I knew him as the guy from Home Alone 2. The guy who was messing with Kevin McAllister. And then I watched, I'm like, oh, this guy is legit, This guy, he's really funny. So
I didn't know he was in Home Alone.
yeah, he was in the second one. He played a, what's it called?
Like a hotel manager.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was suspicious of Kevin, which
good for him.
rightfully so. So I guess, what did you guys think of this movie? Rebecca, you can go first. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm joking. No, it was really good. I liked it a lot. I only watched it yesterday, so I don't know if it's sunk in. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I actually filmed my reaction to it, so I was editing it today. And yeah, Tim Curry, go Tim Curry. It kind of gave me an Agatha Christie kind of ending, the way it was, but I still really enjoyed it. I liked the whole, ooh, this is how it could have gone, and then how it was. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
How about you, Sophia?
I also really liked it. I found it really funny. So I was writing my thoughts down on my phone, and then all of my notes are just my thoughts, and I'm just like, oh, Mrs. Peacock is yapping. And all those kinds of comments. And I was like, wow, this is I'm actually really having fun with this. And I was paying attention so closely to the scenes, and I was like, all right, who's not in the room right now? Maybe
Right.
they're the killer. I'm really and I took all the notes. So then when we saw the first ending, I was like, oh, so I was just wrong. And then the second ending came, and I was like, wait, what's happening?
So, what were you thinking when it was happening? Like, what were the clues?
I wrote down my suspicions. I think I really narrowed it down to the Colonel, and then oh my God, I wrote too many notes. Well, I was most suspicious of the Colonel.
Right.
And then I think it was Mr. Green.
Really?
But then I was kind of iffy. About him. I was like, maybe not. So, but I didn't suspect any of the women.
You didn't suspect them?
No. I kind of just assumed it was going to be a man. Because the scene where Yvette was killed, like, she was talking to someone, and it sounded like a man's voice. So I was like, oh, so the killer is a man.
Yeah. How about you, Rebecca? What were your suspicions when you were watching the movie? Like, who did you think the killer was?
Well, I was like, let's go boss it. I said I support women's wrongs. So I was like going through all the women. And then when we saw those little plot twists, at first I was like, oh, look at me go. I got it. And then the second one came with Miss Peacock. And I was like, yeah, look at me go again. I was like, oh, I'm so smart. And then the real one came. And I was like, damn. I only suspected Tim Curry because it's Tim Curry. But it wasn't like he was the biggest one. But I suspected him because I was like, they got to do something more of their casting Tim Curry in a movie.
Yeah, so for me, I need to mention, because Rebecca's always good at catching who the person is when she's like when I watched like the film reactions for like Scream, she knew who it was before it was, and I'm always like, I'm like, how did you know? Because even though I love mystery, I'm a dumbass when it comes to like the suspects, like who actually did it. But Rebecca gets it every time, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you know.
When I was watching this movie again, it's been a couple years since I've seen it, but I saw so many clues that like leading to the Colonel doing it. For one, he kept holding the knife. Like every time like he put his hand on the knife of the woman who, like the cook who got murdered, like immediate red flag. Like, why would you do that unless you did it and you want to make it look like an accident? You did it. The second thing, because I used to always watch this on TV, like legit, like one of the CRT TVs. I didn't notice this first, but do you remember like the photos that were being burned? Like that, so like the person put it to the fireplace. That's the Colonel with the guy, with the hitchhiker, not the hitchhiker, but the guy whose car got broken down. They're both in the photo.
Oh yeah.
I never noticed that until like seeing it. I'm like, wait a minute, it's both of them, and yeah, the clues are right there. And turns out it was just one of the endings. So yeah,
Everything went over my head. I didn't like pick up on anything. I was watching it and I was like trying so hard to see like if someone wasn't in a scene or if someone disappeared.
Yeah.
And I saw nothing. And I was like so annoyed because I was like, I'm sure they've put something in there. And yeah, I was thrown off though as well by the whole bit when, is it Yvette dies? Is that her name?
Yeah, the maid.
And then like Sophia was saying, because you hear like a man's voice. So I was like thrown off by that. Because I was like, probably a man. But it wasn't a man. Rest in peace.
Yeah, for me, I noticed this even when I was a kid. I noticed there was someone missing when they first go to see Yvette, like when she screams and they all rush there. I was like, there's someone missing, but I never realized who it was. It was Mrs. Peacock who was missing. That's who was missing at first. I'm like, oh, so like it made sense when it was Mrs. Peacock who was gone from there. But yeah. But what was your favorite ending though?
Okay,
I'm stuck between A and C. Because I did write in my notes, I was like, oh, who is the killer? But then I was like, maybe there's multiple killers. And so when I saw C, I was like, oh, so I was right. But I liked A because I didn't suspect Miss Scarlet at all.
Right.
But then it just like made me laugh because she did all this for the sake of capitalism. And I was like, what?
Communism was a red herring. Yeah, it's very unique in that aspect. What about you, Rebecca?
I say I liked both A and B, mainly because I guessed both of the women. And then it just made me happy that I was like, oh, it's both of them. But I didn't guess like there was multiple like in C. Except for Tim Curry was the only other one that I like thought of. Although I do point out like everyone in my reaction, but it was mainly Miss Peacock and Miss, what's her name? Miss Scarlet. And yeah, both of them two I really thought, mainly just because like they both looked so cool, and I was like, they just look too good to not be like the killers. And it kind of panned out.
Speaking of like they both look so cool, do you think they were the best dressed people there?
Yeah, I still think like both the ladies, Miss Scarlet. Yeah.
And Miss Peacock?
Yeah.
What about
I
Mrs.
don't know,
White?
I liked Mrs. White.
Yeah. I think all the women looked really good.
Yeah, basically.
But there's not much like men can do. It's just like suits and ties. Like you can't really jazz that up so much. Yours be looking good with the bow tie. It's the bow tie that sells it. But again, the women, they could just like dress up in anything. Whereas the men, they just had suit and tie. And there's only so many variations of a suit and tie that can impress me. So I was just like, yeah, I've seen it again. When I saw all of them, I was like, well, the same old.
Different colors though. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the women were like so jazzy.
Sophia, do you share the same feelings?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean the men were just wearing suits. They came like from DC, so they were wearing essentially like work clothes. And then the woman, like Scarlet, she was supposed to be like the femme fatale, so obviously she dressed the part. And then Miss Peacock was like an older woman, so she was more conservative. And then Mrs. White was in mourning, so she was in her mourning clothes.
Yeah, it's true. There's not much you can do for men. Like you could like probably dress like Doctor Who, whatever, but that probably wouldn't be like the best fashionable sense right there. Maybe like Peter Capaldi's Doctor, if you nerds know what I'm talking about.
Doctor Who makes a suit look cool. I'll give them that.
And speaking of, this is something I found very interesting about the movie because like I'm from the DMV. That's DC, Maryland, Virginia area for people who are not from the DMV, and I live pretty close to DC. And the fact that like they're all in there, they realize they all work in DC, and then some of them actually do know each other. That does happen in real life here in the city. Because, for example, I wore this suit to the Hispanic Heritage Awards at the Kennedy Center back in September, right? And I was waiting for my friend to show up because he was running late, and I just befriended this other dude who looked kind of lonely. He was just like stressed. He was like a white dude. Kind of looked a little out of place with all the Latinos there. And I'm like, hey man, like you waiting for the show to start? I'm like, yeah man, I'm actually waiting for it to be over. I'm just here for work basically. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't really ask him. And then later I'm like, hey, where do you work? What do you do anyway? He's like, oh, I'm the chief of staff for a congressman. I'm like, what? Like you never know who you're talking to in DC. You could be talking to someone who works for the DOD or someone who's just working at Starbucks, you know? So that aspect I'm very familiar with, of like, you meet people, you don't really know who they are, but they actually connect, very well connected. I have a very fun question for you guys. If the movie were remade, who would be modern actors you'd want in these roles? Like, who would you cast in these roles? Like, who would you recast?
Oh, that requires a lot of thinking.
Sounds so basic. I'm gonna go straight away. Jenna Ortega as Mrs. White, because she just has that like blunt face to her. Bill Skarsgård as the butler, Wadsworth, because there's a little connection there. But also I like Bill Skarsgård. He's Pennywise, right? He's the guy who did Pennywise, I believe.
I think so,
Or
yeah. The last name sounds
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah, I
Bill.
think so.
That's all I have for cast. I don't really know who else I'd get. Yeah, Bill is the one I'd get for the butler. Threw me through a loop. I know we're not on that, but that threw me through a loop when like the butler wasn't the butler, but the butler was the butler. I was like, whoa. Anyway, though, casting. Back to casting. Yes.
This is also a pretty basic one. Sydney Sweeney as the maid.
Yeah, actually, that would work.
Yeah, I can
For
see
me-
that.
I would have Aubrey Plaza as Miss Scarlet. I feel like she fits that role a little bit better.
I would have put her as Mrs. White, in my opinion.
Fight for it. Yeah, fight.
As Mrs. White. Okay. I can see it.
I think she'd be good for either or.
Let me see. What about for the Colonel? We got to get like someone who plays like he played the Joker in the Batman movie, the 1989 movie. Jack Nicholson.
Oh, Jack Nicholson, yeah.
Yeah, as the Colonel. I think I
Oh,
could see it.
I can see that.
Yeah. Might be a little older for his role, but you know what? Let me see. Who else? Let me see. It does require thought. What's his name? Benoit.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think.
We gotta have Daniel Craig in there.
Yeah.
Who would he play?
I feel like Daniel Craig could be Body.
That's what
true.
I was thinking.
That's true.
That'd be quite good as well, because like you wouldn't expect him to get killed off because he's Daniel Craig.
Oh, you know who could be Mrs. Peacock? It could be Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm just going off based like the Knives Out cast, but I think she could be really good as Mrs. Peacock.
For some reason, for Mrs. Peacock, I was imagining, I forgot her name, but she's the actress who plays Professor Umbridge in Harry Potter.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
She'd be pretty good. Yeah, I don't know what her name is.
Yeah, I'm blanking. She was in The Crown. I literally just watched her.
It's like I know Olivia Colman, but I don't know the other one.
Mm-hmm.
What is her name?
It's like Imelda something.
Yeah, you're right. Imelda Staunton?
Yes.
As Mrs. Peacock, right?
Yeah.
I would also choose Edward Norton as Mr. Green.
Who is that?
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
Edward Norton, he was in The Glass Onion, the second Knives Out movie.
I'm
Wasn't
yet to
he
see that
the
still. I
Hulk?
really want to see it.
Okay, I was literally going to spoil it right now. That he was also the Incredible Hulk before what's his name became the Hulk.
Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah.
Okay, for the professor, I think I would like to see David Hyde Pierce.
Who's he?
David Hyde Pierce?
Yeah.
He was in Frasier.
Is he Frasier?
Let's see. No, he's not Frasier.
Is he the brother?
He is Crane. Dr. Crane.
So he's the brother then, right?
I never watched Frasier, so
Okay.
but I know him from other movies. That's the thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Let me see. He was in Sleepless in Seattle, but I actually don't remember him in that.
All right, so who would play the cop? No, I think we're just doing the main cast. Let's just do the main cast. If we do like the other victims, I think it would be here too long. So
We would be here all day.
yeah. All right, so I'm going down from like the cast list on Clue on the letterbox. So who's playing Wadsworth again?
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. All right. How about Mrs. Peacock?
Imelda?
Imelda.
Yeah, Imelda Staunton.
Okay, and Mrs. White. That was Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The professor. You said David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, David Hyde Pierce.
Okay. Mr. Green. I suggested Edward Norton. Okay. And the
Yeah,
Colonel,
big up Ed. Love Ed.
The Colonel. I said Jack Nicholson. I feel like it could be possible because Jack Nicholson's an older man. He could be haunted by all the things he's done.
Is he still alive?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Yes. Man,
I'm just checking.
Is he still acting? I feel like I haven't seen him.
I don't think
in
so.
anything.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I
I
might
don't
be
think so.
retired.
So we might have to find someone else to do the Colonel. Who's another imposing figure?
John Voight?
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if he's still acting. I haven't seen him. in
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Damn.
Oh, what's his name? The guy who played Coulson on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I could see him do that.
Oh, I know who you mean, but I don't know his name.
Let me see. Clark Gregg.
He is such a basic name. That really was the most basic one. I say with the name Rebecca, but regardless.
You know, it's a very basic name. Matt Smith.
What?
Oh,
Wait, are you
yeah, that
rewatching
is-
Doctor Who or something right now? Like, what is up with you? Are you rewatching Doctor Who?
It's a new Doctor, so I need to get back into it, and I was obsessed with that when I was in high school.
No spoilers, because I'm making my way through Doctor Who right now. I saw it when I was younger, but I'm watching it again, and I'm on Matt Smith right now. I know we're not talking about that, but just,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matt Smith was like my first
enjoy it.
Doctor. Like literally the first Matt Smith episode was my first Doctor Who episode. and I had no idea what was going on, but
Really?
I loved it. Yeah.
Wait, so wait, sorry, I know I'm going on a tangent here, but your first Doctor wasn't David Tennant?
No. I saw him after I finished with Matt Smith.
Why?
It's just how I was introduced.
The disrespect. Anyway,
Okay,
back
it was
to the
new.
point.
I watched it when Matt Smith became the Doctor.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever you say. Whatever
Where
you
else
say.
was I gonna watch Doctor Who? Okay, like it was
BBC iPlayer America version.
do I look like I can afford BBC iPlayer?
It's free.
in 2010. In 2010.
It's that's true.
Yeah. It had to
Got
be an
me there.
add-on. It had to be an add-on on Verizon. Okay, my parents were paying for that, but it was free on the on demand.
No, I forgive you. It's okay. You're forgiven.
There's nothing to be forgiven about.
No, there still was. 10-year-old you could have, like, I don't know, found BBC iPlayer somehow.
Okay, I'm not even sure if that existed back then either.
It didn't.
All right. Anyway, so for Miss Scarlet, I'm not too sure about Jenna Ortega because she's a little too young to be playing Miss Scarlet. I feel like it should be
But I
someone.
imagine this is like when
Like
she's
just-
old.
just
an
in-
old Jenna Ortega.
Okay. How about like?
But
Oh, what's her name? Hold on. She was in that movie Love and Monsters.
oh,
Jessica Henwick.
I cannot put a face to the name, but I know that movie and I liked
Yeah.
it. So
Mm-hmm.
Let me. Oh, okay.
Because she was also in Game of Thrones. She played one of the Sand Snakes. Yeah, I could see it. Jessica Henwick.
For some
if you
reason, I was thinking Dua Lipa.
was it you who has Dua Lipa as a lock screen? No, it's not you. It's not you who has Dua Lipa. No, never mind. Not you. That's not you.
Who has Dua Lipa as a lock screen?
I think it was a joke. Rest in peace, Rival Reacts. But I think they used to have Dua Lipa as their wallpaper, or it was Welchie. One of those two.
I do have Rival on speed dial, so I could probably just ask him right now. I don't, by the way.
Yeah.
but-
I could.
and for Yvette, Sydney Sweeney. I can see that.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it took us a lot longer than I thought it would, but all right. But like before we go into like how it was made, do you guys have any favorite lines, favorite moments, favorite lines that you're still thinking about that still like just stuck to your mind when you saw it?
The Flames monologue. I can't even like recite the whole thing though. I was just kind of in awe. And she just kept saying, like she just kept going.
Yeah. It's a very unique one. That's the moment for like a lot of people who watch this movie. They're like, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna remember this movie just based off that Flame speech. What about you, Rebecca?
Mine's a bit more basic. I like the moment where it's in the like B scenario,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about Mrs. Peacock being the one, and then the guy's like, "Oh, she was a man all this time." I like that line. I just really like the delivery of that line in the movie. That was like something that really stuck out to me.
Yeah,
I
it was
liked
like we always get our man. Mrs. Peacock was a man.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. That was good humor.
Yeah. For me,
I
there's a
also
lot-
like the line. Well,
no,
sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say I also like the line where Wadsworth was talking about his wife, and he was like, her friends were socialists, and they all gasped.
Yeah. I like that. That was good.
My favorite one, well, it's my new favorite when I forgot who asked Mrs. White. He's like, "You, how many husbands have you had? Mine or other women's? Yours? 5. 5? Yes, just a 5."
Yeah, I like that.
Because that
There's
always.
so many good lines in the movie.
Yeah. What's another good one? It's like, "Are you trying to make me look like an idiot, sir? You don't need any of my help." That's right.
That was a really good one.
Rather this, we're gonna talk about production. Now back to the show. So Deborah Hill, the producer of this movie, she is also from Halloween fame. So the movie Halloween, she produced that movie, and since the success of that movie, she had always been trying to adapt Clue into a movie. Coming up with a script was like the hardest part of the movie because Clue is like a very deduction based game and there's no really motivation for the characters to be there. There were several writers who came onto the project to make their pitch for the movie, like how they would write it. They weren't really satisfied with like how it was going until they got Jonathan Lynn like caught their attention. Jonathan Lynn is the director and also the writer of this movie. So Jonathan Lynn, he had directed over 50 plays for British theater and TV. He directed for the National Theatre, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and the Cambridge Theatre Company. And so he wrote the screenplay. And they were so satisfied with the screenplay that they decided to let him direct it, even though he's never directed a movie before. So they're like, hey, we really like your stuff. You're also going to direct the movie. And like he's like, oh, okay. That just amazes me. I don't think that happens nowadays where the writer of the movie will also be hired to direct, because usually it's two different people, or if you're the director, you might write the script. I don't really hear about that anymore. And then this is like from the New York Times article from when the same year the film was released. While filming was in progress, nobody, including the director Jonathan Lynn, knew how the movie would end. So in his screenplay, he wrote 4 different endings to prevent premature disclosure of the plot. So he wrote 4 endings to like avoid spoilers. And he said he'll wait until final editing to decide which ending plays best, and might even release several different versions of the film to confound matters still further. And this is before the movie's even released. When the movie is released, there were 3 endings, but they weren't all shown at the same time like we were able to see. And depending on which theater you went to, you got one of the 3 endings. And people wouldn't even know that it was like more than one ending to the movie. So that flame speech that we love so much is only in the 3rd ending, but people would have never seen it if they wanted to do endings that ended with either Miss Scarlet committing the murders or Mrs. Peacock committing the murders. So when he was interviewed again for like one of the anniversaries for like a BuzzFeed article, it still touched a nerve because he thought it was a big mistake just having separate endings, especially because you had to see all the different endings to really enjoy the whole movie. So Michael McKean was also interviewed for this article. He's the guy who played Mr. Green. He said people don't want to buy a pig in a pub. They want to know that they're going to get the good ending. There's something overly complex about it, such as, do I have to see it 3 times? And what if I get the same ending again? So that's kind of why it didn't do so well in the theater, because people were like, well, which ending am I going to get? And so it didn't really make back the budget that it had. So it had like $15 million budget. It barely made that much back. And as far as casting, Rowan Atkinson was the first one considered to play Wadsworth. Rowan Atkinson, if you're American, you might know him as Mr. Bean. But he didn't get the role because he wasn't as popular as Tim Curry. So then they got Tim Curry to go get in there, and that's what we know him as. And I find it very funny how they've both been considered for roles for like 2 different mystery movies, right? One for Clue, where Rowan Atkinson was considered first, and then it went to Tim Curry. And the second one for Scooby-Doo, the live action movie, where it went to Tim Curry first, but as soon as he learned that Scrappy-Doo was giving the movie, he hung up, and then the role eventually went to Rowan Atkinson. Either way, I think it would have been great with either one of them, like for both movies. It was filmed like a stage play. It's all in a single set, except for the ballroom, because it was too large. And it allowed for the real luxury to shoot in continuity. So basically, they shot from like beginning to end exactly as the script called for it. Before they started to film the movie, Jonathan Lynn got all the cast together to watch His Girl Friday to basically speak like they speak on that movie. And Colleen Camp, who played Yvette, she's like, I remember Eileen Brennan barked out at the end of the movie, well, you can tell this was before the method. They just talked. So they're real actors, apparently. And I mentioned this to you, Sophia, before we started recording, that the Flame speech is the only improv session in the whole movie. So the whole cast, the whole script, the whole film was by the book to the script. They couldn't deviate away from the script. And the only time they let it happen was for Madeline Kahn to have her Flame speech. And it was written, the original line was like, I hated her so much that I wanted to kill her. But she just decided to improv it. I'm not sure if she decided to improv it or if she forgot. But for whatever reason, she just kept going. and going, and then everyone was like, what the fuck? So like you see like the reaction shot of like Martin Mull behind the colonel. He's like, because he's not sure what's going on. No one knows what's going on. And then she did like 3 or 4 more times after that, and she kept doing it. And each time funnier than the last. And Michael McKean thought they would like cut it all together because there was a lot of funny reactions from that, but it wasn't exactly how it happened. But they still found it very funny. And what I found very funny from that little interaction is how Tim Curry has like this intensity. He's like, "Isn't that right, Mrs. White?" And then like she starts speaking. Sophie, do you want to do this flame speech real quick? Like
Bruh,
just pretend.
I don't even know all of it.
Just say flames. Just say flames.
Oh. I hate her so much. It's just flames. Flames on the side of my head.
Anyway, we get back to the story. Like, it's just like he goes back to the same intensity that it's like not even like he doesn't lead back up. It's just like he pauses for a second and goes back to the same intensity of like the whole thing as if it never even happened. That's what I found really funny about it. Aside from just like the flame speech, which who can relate?
I'm trying to think. I think I have. I think I have hated someone that much that I felt the flames on the side of my head. Not enough to kill though.
No.
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Were you about to say allegedly?
Yeah.
We've got you here on tape. It's quite funny. Do you do anything now? I'm going to play this to them.
No, it's all right. It's cool. So you guys like the movie, right? You guys like the movie? Mm-hmm. You had a good time?
Yeah.
It was not received well, unfortunately. It had a terrible critical response to the point where Jonathan Lynn, the director, he was unemployable after the movie came out. So, like, he was set to direct a Steve Martin movie, like before the movie came out. And then once the movie came out, he was fired. And then 2 years after it was... Oh, yeah, it does. It really sucks.
Yeah,
and
stinks.
That's not even the worst part, because 2 years after the movie was released, he walked into a video store and saw Clue on the shelf with 9 other terrible movies and a sign saying, "Do you dare to rent any of these?" And that just
That's so rude.
It is. I was like, bro, that would hurt anyone. But to see the director himself just saying that, like,
But I don't get that because it's not a bad movie. I get it, like, it'd be annoying if you probably saw one of the like worse alternative endings. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's still really enjoyable because of like the way all the characters were and like all their lines.
Yeah,
like I found the dialogue really fun. I don't know why you hate it that much.
Yeah, I love this movie. Like, it's my comfort movie, and so like to have anyone do that about this movie, particularly, do you dare rent any of these? Nah, that hands immediately, you know. But
allegedly.
So then, eventually got like more popular because of word of mouth. You know, it started gathering like a little cult following, and so John Landis, who co-wrote the script with Jonathan Lynn, he was asked by some 8th graders to stage Clue as a play. He's like, yeah, just don't tell Paramount and don't make money off of it, and yeah, go ahead. So like it starts to get like a resurgence of like popularity to the point where like nowadays when you say Clue, there's like a huge cult following around that. It's also funny because this movie came out the same year as Back to the Future, but like before Back to the Future. So Christopher Lloyd still wasn't like as famous as he is because of Back to the Future. So whenever people come up to Christopher Lloyd nowadays, he's always surprised that like people still like Clue because it wasn't received well when it came out. Also, some other trivia I want to talk about because I found it quite fun to notice. Under a clause negotiated by the producers, they all got exactly the same salary and amenities, the same amount of money, the same billing, and the same size trailer. But they also got the photo approval, which caused some aggravation because like they had to like really fight. Like, I guess they had to approve all the photos that they used for promotion of this movie.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, wait, like the marketing photos? Or...
Yeah.
Okay.
And So the guy who did the BuzzFeed interview for like all the people who were still living for like the interview, he asked Michael McKean, he asked him if he found the idea of basing a movie on a board game to be crass or silly. He just waved him off. He said, "There's a very good movie called The Setup, Robert Wise boxing picture, which is based on a poem that's barely 1 page long about a boxing match. You can make a good movie or a shitty one based on anything." I think it's really true. And for Mrs. White, they wrote more material for Mrs. White once Madeline Kahn was attached. At the time, she was a pretty famous comedic actor. She was in, what was it called? That one spoof Frankenstein movie with Mel Brooks and
Young Frankenstein?
Young Frankenstein. Yeah, she was on Young Frankenstein. She was also in other movies, like comedy movies. So like once she was attached, they wrote more for her. And the costume designer, Michael Kaplan, insisted that the women wear period undergarments, i.e. bone corsets. So Leslie Warren, who played Miss Scarlet, she had to use slant boards to like rest on during the breaks because she couldn't sit to relax at all because it was like so tight on her. And Colleen Camp, when she talked about her French maid outfit, she said the genius of Jonathan Lynn was that he was able to use the assets of each person. I think it was so obvious that I was so well endowed that it became the perfect thing for the characters to react to my breasts. She
were,
knew.
They were impressive.
They were there. They were there.
They were like reaching the sky. I was impressed. I was like, how?
Like when
I want to know.
When she first appeared on the screen, I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, me too. I was like, whoa, because they were there.
Just add like a little sound effect to her.
And she regrets that she didn't take one home. Like one of the outfits.
What, her boobs?
No.
Yeah, I was like, take what home? Like she detached them at the end of the day.
They were hers.
Were they prosthetic?
She brought them to the set. She brought her talents to the show, to the movie. She just regrets that she didn't take the maid outfit with her. And
the maid outfit was cute though.
Yeah. It really was.
Yeah.
I was like, girl slay, but I was so shocked like when she just like kind of casually flashed. I don't know if she meant to or if it just like happened.
I know that scene. I wrote that in my notes too. I was like, did she just flash us?
Yeah, she goes to sit down and like fluffs her dress. But I'm like, did she just do that like naturally, like how you would kind of do that? Or did she like, was it written in? Because it feels like it could be something you could accidentally do. Because like she probably just flashed us. Girl slay. But was it meant to be? I don't know. I liked it. Not in a creepy way, but girl slay, girl boss.
Who else was sad when she died?
I have one other question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, sorry. For a second I thought you meant she died in real life, and then I guess half of these people are dead? It relates to my question.
So, I know Christopher Lloyd is still living.
Is Tim Curry dead?
No.
No, no.
He had a stroke in 2012. So it prevents him from voice acting again. And who else? Michael McKean is still alive. Okay, Madeline Kahn. Unfortunately, she died in 1999 from ovarian cancer. What's her name? The woman who played Mrs. Keacock passed away like 10 years ago or so. I'm not sure from what. And Leslie Ann Warren, she's still kicking.
No offense, did she die from old age?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
That'd be awful now if she didn't die from old age, and I'm like just kind of making her out to be like this old fart, but I'm like, because she was old in the movie. So.
You know what's funny? How Christopher Lloyd always looks old. And he's still.
You telling me he was like 30 in the movie? That'd be so funny.
He was like 40 something.
Oh. Right.
No, I almost didn't recognize him at first though, because I was like, oh, that's Christopher Lloyd. Because in my mind, he already had like white hair. Mm-hmm. But then when I saw him in Clue, I was like, oh, he looks so young.
So Eileen Brennan, who played Mrs. Keacock, she died in 2013 from bladder cancer.
Oh.
Although I sound like an awful person. But yeah, rest in peace.
I mean, I also assumed it was old age.
Yeah, she was 80.
Yeah, I thought like old farts gonna croak. But rest in peace, legend.
Oh man, the guy who played the chief, like the guy who pretended to be like the evangelist, he died 2 years ago.
Oh, that's recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is recent.
since I was just on the Wikipedia page, I forgot to mention there was a fourth ending that was scripted. I think I mentioned it, but basically, Jonathan Lynn doesn't remember it, but Tim Curry does remember filming it. And essentially, it was the butler who did it. And the reason why they scrapped it was because they didn't want the cliche of it was the butler. So that's why they just scrapped it, which
I would have been happy with that.
Same. I would have been very happy with that.
Because Tim Curry, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just imagining how would it look like of him deducing the crime, being like being Sherlock Holmes, and then revealing it was him the whole time and how he did it, and just bragging about it. And then,
I thought that's what he was doing though when I watched it. I thought like he was just bragging about it because I was like, how does he know everything unless he did it all? Yeah,
exactly. And so it was scrapped, but for the novelization of the movie, it's in the book. So we do eventually get that where he tries to get away from the cops and he gets inside the car, but it's like the dogs are inside the car and they get him.
Oh.
I'm not sure how the dogs end up in a car, but they're there.
That's
and they
kind
get
of
him.
dark. Oh wait, no, sorry, question. So at the beginning of the movie, when everyone's going into the house, is it he steps in dog poo?
Yes.
Okay, because everyone was like sniffing it up, and I was like, it's got to be dog poo because it's not like pee. No one's that like offended by pee, but poo, yes, stink.
Yeah, because he scraped his shoe like right before he went inside.
Yeah.
But he still had some on him, so that's why everyone was like still sniffing it. And one last fun fact: so the prop master who drops the crystal chandelier, he was behind Martin Mull. Like he just showed up behind him. He pretends to be drunk, and he's like, "Ugh, I hope it goes all right." And it scared him so much. He didn't want to do it, but like it went fine because like I think the chandelier drops behind him twice in the movie because there's two chandeliers in that hall. But it scared the shit out of him. Like just the prop master just pretending to be drunk, and like
that's kind of mean.
It is very mean. Like, have you guys seen Die Hard?
No.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so in Die Hard, what's his name? He played Snape, the bad guy, Hans Gruber.
Oh,
I forgot the actor's name.
wait, why am I blanking? I literally made a video on Die Hard.
Oh my god.
And you were talking about Harry Potter
Alan
earlier
Rickman.
too. Alan Rickman.
Ah.
So that final scene, the final shot where he's falling to his death. So that's actually him falling on like a big blue trampoline type cushion, right? They said he was gonna go on 3, but they let him go on 1. So he was so scared. That's his actual reaction of him falling down on the cushion. And it's like little mean. It's like harmless, right? Because like they're gonna be safe. They're safe the whole time. But it's like kind of mean how they do that. You know.
I like that kind of stuff though. That's like just normal banter every day.
Is as opposed to The Exorcist. Have you guys seen The Exorcist?
Mm-hmm. I also made a video a long
you
time
did.
ago about
Oh my
that.
god.
Yeah.
You know when like Reagan throws up on the Prius, and like she like vomits all over him
On the Prius.
Yeah. It goes right on his mouth, right? So the actor was told it was gonna go to his chest, but no, the director just aimed it at his mouth, and that reaction is real. But that's like violent though, like the way it just streamed into his mouth. So that's abusive. That's a little abusive. But like the little bits that we have here, like pretending to be drunk but you're not really, I think that's harmless.
When you were talking about that scene in The Exorcist, that reminds me of that clip of Katy Perry at like the Nickelodeon award where she just gets bombarded by the slime.
They were actually trying to kill her. I love that. That was so funny.
Like,
I know. Whenever I watch
legit.
it, I'm like, damn.
That's waterboarding. That's like up there. Like I swear, we saw an attempted assassination.
We really did. It was like the next JFK.
So, you guys have any comments, questions, concerns about the movie before I formally end it? Anything you want to discuss but you didn't get a chance to discuss? Okay.
Yeah,
I am sad that Mr. Green was not in fact gay. You know, I thought he would. Well, you know, I like to believe he still was because that upset when we got to the end and he was like, oh, but pew pew, I'm FBI police officer. I thought, wow, they took it away from us, didn't they? We had some representation there. We had a great gay guy. And I was like, he was the only one that wasn't the worst of them. And then I was like, of course, ally. But no, he was a FBI man in the end. That made me sad, but also good shot, I guess. Although you're shooting Tim Curry, so it made me a bit sad as well. But even he said to him, like, oh, that was a good shot. I like that. That was a line as well I liked as well. When he kept telling him, like, oh, that was a good shot.
I will add on to that when he was like, I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife, and then they did the freeze frame right after, that killed me. I was like, what a way to end the movie.
I wasn't sure like it was ended there. For a second I thought like my screen just froze. But iconic stuff.
I saw this Letterboxd review that said like he got in trouble because he kept saying that in school, like, I'm gonna go home and sleep with my wife. It was like elementary school too, because I think because with the context of the 80s, you know, they were still homophobic, largely homophobic. So they in the movie even see like when he mentioned that he was gay, the men moved away from him, you know.
Also,
yeah,
I swear one of the
that
women
too.
gave him like the stink eye. One of them was like, ooh, how dare he.
So yeah, that was also, you can see how clearly still permeated. So then it's the twist when he's like, oh, he's not gay, but it's still like how he kept up the act throughout the whole movie. Like when he's like, do you want to show the cop around? Yes.
That's true.
And then when he's with Yvette and they go to like the attic and he's like, I think he actually was scared. Like they all were scared about what was going on. And he's like, okay, are you scared? No. They go up. Okay.
Yeah.
He's like, are you gonna move?
I mean, I'd be scared to go up a dark attic too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I understand that too. And the way like they just moved up, like the legs like went up, but like their bodies stayed in the same location, their torso stayed in the same location. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Who was your favorite character in the whole movie though?
Wadsworth, because I just love Tim Curry. It's just Tim Curry at the end of the day. Like no one's, even if like the others are cool, they just can't beat him for me because like I just know what he can do. So I was just excited just to see him on the screen.
Wadsworth is the reason I wanted to act. Like if I ever was able to do like a stage play in like middle school or high school,
Oh, that's cool.
I would have fought for the role of Wadsworth, but it never happened. So I also
Not
really like
yet.
Miss Scarlet. Not yet.
Still good.
I also really liked Miss Scarlet because she just kept making jokes. And then I think Mrs. Peacock asked her, like, how can you keep making jokes at a time like this? It's my defense mechanism. Relatable. What about you, Sophia? Did you have a favorite character?
Well, yeah, I also like Wadsworth, but I also liked Yvette just because like her French accent was just so exaggerated. I just couldn't like I don't know, I liked her a lot. And when the scene when she was like screaming and they all like ran over to her and they're like, why were you screaming? And she's like, I was scared. And I was like, oh, she's so real. I'd be scared too.
Yeah, she's an icon.
She's like, the murderer is here. And then I think it was Mr. Green who looked behind the door. Oh man, great movie. And this is something I would love to host, like a murder mystery party. Like
Same.
Like if I ever like have like a mansion out in like New England, just invite all my friends from all over, have a little murder mystery.
New England is like the perfect place to do that too.
Yeah, like that
What,
mansion.
murder or a party?
Both.
Which one?
That mansion in Knives Out actually exists, but they kept it a secret because there are actual people who live there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, from the
So-
first movie?
From the first movie, yeah.
Oh.
So anything else you guys want
I
to
have
discuss?
one more thought.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't know if it's just like an across the pond thing, or maybe I'm like really stupid. I don't. Why is it called Clue and not Cluedo?
That's another thing I wanted to mention. Okay.
Okay.
So the game is called Clue, but it's Cluedo in Britain. But in America, it's called Clue.
Okay, I was watching this movie and I was so confused because I was like, it's all the same. I was like, I know this is Cluedo, but then I just kind of realized that it must just be that in America it's called Clue and over here it's Cluedo because I've always played Cluedo and I was like, it's the exact same thing that I'm watching.
It's like saying like cookies here, they're called biscuits over there, or cakes. I'm not sure.
Or like,
I think it's biscuits.
do you say fries?
Like French fries?
Yeah, we say fries, and then
It's like we say chips.
you say chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one of those type of things.
Oh my god.
And so you're not
Yeah.
stupid. It's a cross the pond thing. Don't call yourself stupid.
I thought it must have been because I was just confused whether like I was thinking Cluedo was a different board game, but it's not. It's the Cluedo I am thinking of as Clue.
So you grew up with Cluedo, like you guys know it as Cluedo, not as Clue then.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm pretty sure the board game that I have says Cluedo on it. And I was like, is this like a Mandela effect thing and it's just never been Cluedo? But no, it has.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you look up on Wikipedia, yeah, so like the article for Clue, it's actually Cluedo,
Okay.
and then known as Clue in North America. So yeah, that's a fun fact. That's a little fun fact. I'm surprised I didn't mention it, but yeah.
There we go. Woo!
All right, Sophia, you any other comments?
Yeah, so the original director was supposed to be John Landis, and he was the one who developed the multiple endings. And he claimed to like have wanted Sondheim to do the music.
Yeah.
And I was like, Sondheim?
Yeah, that's what I said.
That would have been crazy. Yeah, I would have loved to know what the music would have sounded like if he was signed on.
I wonder what the budget would have been for that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And also, what else? John Williams. He wasn't considered, but I'm just imagining like what John Williams would do for this movie soundtrack. Which even then, I still like the music. Like the beginning, like in the opening, it gives us like very spooky vibes, you know, like silly but spooky, and if that makes sense. And it gives off like, for me, it just feels like fall. It's such a fall movie, you know. And with that, we are done with this discussion. Thank you, Rebecca and Sophia, for being here. Get a quick question. Rebecca can answer first. Was this movie a hit or a miss with you?
It was a hit. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very good.
All right. How about you, Sophia?
It was a hit for me as well. Yeah,
Okay.
I really liked it.
Yeah. For me, it was a miss. No, I was kidding. I love this
shut
movie. It's one of my comfort movies, and if it's ever on TV or if I just see it lying around or someone mentions it, I have to go see it because and then eventually I had to watch Knives Out and then Glass Onion, which it's a good binge to like good marathon to watch those together. Where can we find you on social media, Rebecca?
I am on YouTube. It's just Rebecca. And then I'm also on Instagram. Rebecca Rose with an X over the first E, which is same for my letterbox, which is all I actually really care about. Thank you.
How about you, Sophia?
You can also find me on YouTube, although my username for that is different. It's just Sophia Phan with 3 N's. But all my other socials, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, TikTok, if you care to follow, it is at Eat My Fanny with 3 N's and IE.
And
That's great.
every time. Yeah, I feel like I should have like a joke for this. Yeah, I feel like I've used them all. But thank you so much again for being here. And thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. And until next time, cross off a new... I'm sorry, just kidding. The fact that it's still your username after all these years.
It's a good username.
It is.
I mean,
It's a very good one.
Yeah, when I was in college, I changed it for a brief moment, and then I was like, you know what? It's just not the same. So I just switched it back, and then I just kept it.
It's a memorable one. It's a very memorable one.
Yeah.
And people are like,
yeah, I
what
got
is-
a comment on one of my videos, and it was like, oh, I accidentally like opened your description box, and then I saw your username for your socials, and they're like, no wonder you don't like promote your socials at the end of your videos. And I was like, that is not why I don't do it. I just don't care. But I will say it out loud. I'm not afraid.
I love it. It's so good. It was on my first DM to you. So I was like, oh, I loved your username, by the way. Because I do. It's great.
And what's the header on your Twitter? I forgot what it said. Like, no, I'm not asking you to eat anything.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let me do this one more time. Thank you to both of you for being here. Thank you, dear listener, for tuning in. And until next time, cross off a new film from your list.